for coming today. The reason we haven't spoke on this issue just yet was because we were waiting for the police investigation to come to an end, which had ended on Friday. And now I feel it's a good time to tell everyone our side of the story and respond to things that have been said in the news so far. I think it's important to note first that this was not a racial incident. We are not a racist restaurant. I have no hard feelings towards any person of any color, background, race, ethnicity. And at this time, I'd like to just review the series of events that happened here this evening. Last Saturday evening, I was here working by myself, the 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. shift. I had a fellow employee that called off. Around 1 a.m. in the morning, we had started getting busy with a lot of orders, so I called the Lebanon Just Wing It store for some help, in which 2 people came here to help me out, cook, and get the orders completed. One being Chris, one being another employee of the store. I was completing an order in the back when they had arrived. I came back out front to some customers that were here to finish taking some orders. 2 of those people were Mr. Bug and his friend, who had entered the restaurant and sat up front at the bar. At that time, I had given them both menus and told them I'd be right with them to take their order. Mr. Bug had then proceeded to place an order for 20 wings, and his friend had ordered a beer. I went in the back to get the kid his beer and asked Chris at the time if he thought it was okay for me to serve him that because he appeared to be intoxicated upon entering the restaurant. We talked it over and decided that it would probably be best if we didn't give him the beer at that time. I finished up a couple more orders. We had some more pickups and things going on at that time. Some orders were taking a while. There was a lot going on. As I was ringing in another order up here at the front counter, I had overheard Mr. Bug and his friend saying that because it was taking a while, they were going to get up and leave without paying. We don't always make our customers pay up first. You know, we take your order when your food's ready, you pay. But because of hearing that statement, I had gone over to both of them and asked them to pay for their orders at this time. At that point, Chris had come back out front to see if I needed any help, and him and Mr. Bug did have a few words, one of them being something that had to do with politics, and I did hear him say, Chris replied, "Vote Trump," to whatever their argument had entailed. Mr. Bug had then responded, you know, "Don't talk to me like that," and Chris had said, "I can say whatever I want. I don't care if you get your food at this point, you can go somewhere else." And said, you know, "You're not going to be rude," and he had walked back into the kitchen. That's when Mr. Bug stood up and grabbed one of our glass ketchup bottles off the front counter and smashed it on the floor and said, "If that guy comes back out front, I'm gonna punch him in the face." I had told him at that time that if he's gonna be disorderly and act like that, I think it'd probably be best if he left for the evening. Chris had come back out at the sound of the glass breaking, and again, I had said, "I think it's just going to be good for you guys to get out of here for the night." Mr. Bug then replied, "You're throwing me out because I'm an N-word." And Chris responded, "She's not throwing you out because you're being an N-word. You're acting disorderly and rude. You just smashed a glass and a ketchup bottle." I again said to him, "Please just leave for the evening." And he said he wasn't gonna leave until I refunded his money, which I had agreed to do at that time. Went back to the register, got the cash out, refunded the gentleman his money. That's when he picked up his bar stool and threw it on the ground. And I had approached the gentleman and said, "Please just get out of here for the evening." I followed him from the front of the restaurant to the front door. He had picked up 3 more chairs on the way and threw them across the restaurant. When we got to the first front door here, he had gone out in the vestibule, him and his friend, and they were just standing out there being loud and yelling. And I had gone to the front door and said, "Please just get out of here for the night," meaning to get out this front door over here. At that time, Mr. Bug tried to come back in. His friend had grabbed him, and in the scuffle of me asking them to get out and his friend being in there, I had gotten hit in the face and had a nice laceration under my eye. He had then eventually got to the front door and exited the premise and began throwing my trees and shrubs, which aren't outside at the moment, but throwing them into the street. At that point, I decided it was probably best for me to call the police because I didn't want the situation to escalate any farther than it already had. I got the key, locked the front door, and I'd seen Mr. Bug and his friend go across the street back towards campus. In the meantime, the police had showed up here. We were sitting down at one of the tables when Mr. Bug and some friends had come back across the street and back to the restaurant.